Hey guys, OGalbina here, bringing you guys a different type of video here today. Something a little bit different. Now, this was originally going to start off as kind of like a Twitter discussion type of video that we usually do weekly, but I got a ton of response for this one, and I realized that I can't really do the series or these responses justice if I just gloss over them and don't give them the attention that they deserve. So what we're going to be doing is the question I asked for you guys, and I'm going to kind of make this into a mini series. Let me know if you guys do enjoy this. Is going to be I want you guys to show me your favorite draft league game that you've ever played. I won't be able to get to everybody's, but you know, it'll be a multi-part video, and I'll try and get to everyone's at some point. And you can see we got a ton of responses. Let's just scroll down. Some of them YouTube videos, a ton of them being just showdown replays. Again, an absolute ton of them. So this is honestly a great way for us to watch some draft league and, you know, learn some new things. Yeah, I think it'll be fun. It'll be a fun little series. So if you guys do enjoy today's video, if you enjoy this concept, be sure to drop a like, as well as please subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 1,000, and I would really appreciate it if you help me out along that journey. So I have 4 games today for you. I'm sorry if it's like a little bit bright on me with like my key light, but it's late at night. My puppy's sleeping, and I don't wanna disturb her. She comes before the YouTube video, unfortunately for you guys. So if the lighting isn't great for you guys, I apologize. I'm also like post gym, so I might be a little greasy. But we're gonna be watching 3 games today. I believe a game from Amel. It's one of my favorite games ever. We have a game from Marcus, which is a Surge semifinal, something like that, but it was like a Surge format, so he like slowly built up with his team, so that's gonna be cool. We have a game from Gohan from UDL, which I think is gonna be cool to showcase a game from UDL, a really high competition league. And then we have a finals game from John Jr. That I'm really excited for, because I actually helped him build this team a whole, what, 3 years ago at this point? Almost 3 years, 2.5 years ago. I helped him build this team. With me and John first became friends. I jumped in call with him. It was like the first time we ever been in call together by ourselves. I helped him build this team, and I remember this game. It was a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and jump into it. First up, we have Amel. This was in DPL Finals. I don't remember what season. I obviously didn't play in it, but this is in DPL Finals. I remember this is me and Amel were first getting cool, and I was kind of realizing, you know, the absolute psychopath that Amel really is when it comes to building. He was playing against King L5, who I believe won Tour MVP this DPL season. So whatever season it was it like season 4? I don't know. This is back in 2021. DPL Finals. I believe Amel's team was 1 game away from elimination, so he had to win, or they ended up losing the series in general. I think that they did end up losing the series in general, no matter what, because they're pretty far low down. But high stakes game, especially for Amel to win, and he has to play against someone who's obviously very, very good at the game. Now, we can kind of look into it a little bit. Since this is a team tour, there's going to be some mirror matches and things like that. As we see, both teams have a Rillaboom, but Amel's rocking out with a Moltres Galar, a Clef, a Mega Steellix. A Mega Steellix, I do know that. Infernape and a Mew. Well, if I have the Pidgeot, Clefable, Heatran, Rillaboom, Latios, and Skuntank. Now, I know how this game ends. I know what the end kind of process of it is, but I don't really remember the early game. This game happened so long ago, I don't remember how this happened, but I just know it's a really crazy ending, so I'm excited to watch it here as we jump into it. And these other games, besides the John one, the other 2 games after this, I've never seen in my life, so I'm excited. Hopefully we'll get some cool, genuine reactions and see some cool stuff. So let's go and jump into this one. We are going to see a Pidgeot lead from L5 and a Moltres lead from Amel. This is honestly probably a pretty free cane. I don't know, you let in the Heatran though, and he does not have good Heatran counterplay. If you look at Amel's team, he just doesn't deal with the Pokemon very well. Maybe if you're U-turn Molt, that's actually really, really nice for you as well. Maybe if you're Plot, I believe you can probably EV to live 2 Pidge hits and be Plot. And he doesn't have great Pidge counterplay either. Hurricane plus Heat Wave kind of just smashes through Amel at this point. So we're going to see this Pidge Mega Evolve and just throw off a big Hurricane. This is a pretty fat Moltres. Are we going to see a nasty Plot? We see a Snarl from the Moltres. So this might even be a Heatran check in itself. Clefable is going to come out next. Do we see another Snarl? We do. So it's at least going to weaken the Clefable for whatever wants to come in. Because again, his switch-ins aren't great. It's going to be that Mega Steellix. And as you're going to see, it's a very offensive, very aggressive Steellix here. We are going to see a Flamethrower coming out, expecting that, expecting the Rillaboom pivot, something like that. More so probably the Mega Steellix. But good mid-ground by Amel here, because with his set that he has, he can't really justifiably go into that Steellix just yet. So good aggressive U-turn here by Amel. L5 kind of has to respect a band, respect it just dropping, or even just like a Life Orb Hammer and blowing the Clef ass backwards. It's still very, very good in this game, so I don't think he's going to just sack it off. And then we're going to see the Moltres come back on this Pidgeot, but he's not gaining much ground by this, because it does get a free Roost, and then a free U-turn, in all honesty. And honestly, after, what do you call it, that Snarl, it gets a little bit of health back right here, so very, very interesting here for Amel. We're going to see a Heat Wave come out from this Pidgeot, and then we'll see a big Hurricane. That does 49%. Really, really nice, in all honesty, and it can't miss on this pitch, obviously, because of no guard, which is, again, a really, really nice thing to note. Obviously, Clef can come in and kind of stuff this thing, depending on how bulky it really is. We have also yet to see if it's a Rest Moltres, too, which is, you know, obviously pretty important information. We're going to see a Roost from the Pidge, and we are going to see a Snarl from the Moltres once again, kind of weakening it down a little bit, but, yeah, putting itself in a pretty good spot. We're going to see it pivot out into the Clef now, which definitely makes a ton of sense. And we do see the Rest Pop. So this is probably Rest Talk, Snarl, Hurricane. Honestly, can probably sit in front of the Clefable for a little bit if it's not a CMing Clef, which is another thing to keep in mind. We are going to see a Moonblast crit come out into that Rillaboom. And being that the crit only did 48, that almost makes me think this is AV Boom. I could be completely wrong, but AV Boom wouldn't be terrible in this game. Still has decent offensive presence with just like Glide, U-turn, Knock Off, and then probably high horsepower for the Heatran if I had to guess. Obviously, Pidge is a little bit of an issue, but if you can get that momentum with the U-turn, you put yourself in a pretty good spot. We're going to see the Heatran come out next, and we do see a big knockoff, knocking off its Scarf. That's a really nice turn for Amel, because this puts L5 in a, you know, pretty tough spot, as he can't, you know, switch in, outspeed, and nuke this thing at this point. It getting knocked, losing its Scarf means he can potentially high horsepower at this next turn, put himself in a pretty good spot. It is going to get the grassy terrain first, though. Actually, I don't think that matters. Again, unless I literally just made a video about this. I'm pretty sure grassy terrain, it doesn't actually tell you who's faster via who gets health first, which is a little bit unfortunate. But we are going to see a pivot hard Infernape, probably not expecting an Earth Power or anything like that, maybe just a Fire move, which would make sense. But we're going to see the Rocks. So it was Scarf, Rocks, Heatran. Definitely pretty clean. This Pokemon can definitely exert a lot of offensive pressure, especially if you catch it with the U-turn. We're going to see Rocks from the Infernape. So Rocks are up on both sides. It's really nice for the Pidgeot in the back as well. And he does have the Moltres to pivot into this thing. That is so ridiculously Spadef. Non-boosting item from the Lottie as well. Only doing about 43 from a raw Draco, which is crazy. We'll probably see a turn of Sleep being burned right here. We're going to see the Sleep Top pop and a Rest, unfortunately. If you got like a Snarl or a Hurricane, would have been a little bit more decent of a spot, but not the end of the world. He's at least burned a Sleep turn. As we're going to see a Moonblast come out, and that has to be Life Orb Clef, right? If it's doing 55, that has to be Life Orb Magikarp Clef. Especially to Mew, and again, he could be an offensive Mew, but regardless, 55 is a lot of damage. As Mew comes out hard right here, and it is going to roost, but it's not going to be able to roost off this damage, is it? Especially if he just starts playing around with crits. Yeah, this doesn't seem to be a winning battle for Amel, unfortunately. Like, he can continue to roost, but he's not going to stall him out of Moonblast, and eventually he's going to get crit. Or if he's a special attacking variant, he's going to get a special attack drop. So he's in a tough spot at this point. We have not seen what it's gone, or what the rest of his move pool is. But yeah, this is just a ridiculous amount of damage. If he's CM, he can maybe set up one right here. But I don't know if he's CM. And there's the crit. And that was just kind of inevitable at this point, because he's going to force him into more roost. And eventually he's just going to run out of these, as we do see a Calm Mind. And yeah, this Pokemon is looking like an absolute demon right now against Mr. Amel. We are going to see a Nasty Plot. So it is probably a fat Nasty Plotting Mew. And it does live on 6, and it gets the special attack drop, which is tough as well. This Clef is basically going to end this at like almost full. We see Sludge Bomb from the Mew, which is definitely interesting. If it did keep that +1 that was neutral, it looks like that would have brought it down to about 50, which would have been clutch. But yeah, definitely a tough spot for Amel here, losing his Mew for really not much, just this Clef getting up a bunch of health, as Rillaboom is going to be able to come out right here. Glide may put it in range of Infernape or something like that, as we are going to see a Skuntank come out here as Woodhammer pops. So is it no Glide, or is it no high horsepower? It might be no high horsepower, which is why we saw it switch on that Heatran. Honestly, because is it no high horsepower? Because I feel like you probably want Glide. I guess in this specific matchup against a specific 6, Glide doesn't do much. Woodhammer's actually a little bit better if you're not too upset about losing health. As we are going to see a Fire Blast come out from this Skuntank. Nice little mid ground from Amel, not wanting to get, you know, nuked by his nuked by that Fire Blast on his Steellix, especially pre-Mega. And again, you're going to see it's not a set that really wants to come in and switch in consistently here. But this next turn, we are going to see a Flare Blitz come out, knock out the Skuntank, but Aftermath plus Recoil almost kills this Infernape from here, which is definitely unfortunate. And Lottie comes in here, and it just forces, or Pidge, I suppose, also forces a kill, potentially. Pretty darn easily. Sorry if you can hear snowing in the back. We are going to see a Cane here. It does knock out the Infernape, and puts Amel in a pretty tough spot. Clef is going to come out, show to be unaware as well, and Hurricane's going to pop, and that is just a raw 2-hit KO. We're going to see a Light Screen. Okay. Trying to facilitate a little bit of an endgame. And then this next turn, what are we going to see? A Reflect, a Teleport, a Moonblast? We see a Teleport, and what are we going to see come out? We are going to see the Mega Steellix come out, saying, I can chew up any hit you want to go for, especially with this Light Screen. Heat Wave is going to bounce, only 34. We are going to see a Dragon Dance from the Mega Steellix, which is so ridiculously cool. We're going to see it get up another one right here. Now, something I want to do really quick. We're going to look up Mega Steellix. And I know this from this game. Let's not make it Brave. Let's make it Jolly. 31. And max speed. Right? And then we'll look at Pidgeot. Mega. If you look at this calc, you can't really see it right here very well, but a +2 Jolly Licks does not outspeed a Mega Pidgeot. It unfortunately just does not outspeed it. He kind of needs 3 Dragon Dances in order to guarantee to outspeed it. However, if we look at Infernape, I believe it hits 346, which means Mega Pidgeot will hit. Can it be modest if it does this? Let me check this too. I'm actually curious. I don't know if this matters. 347 is when, no, it can't. 347, which means a Steellix will outspeed a Mega Pidgeot, creeping an Infernape at +2, and Amel is max speed, Jolly, Mega Steellix, and it ends up absolutely saving him in this game, as you're going to see a Heavy Slam absolutely annihilate that Pidgeot. And what takes a hit at this point? What takes a Heavy Slam plus an Earthquake at this point, or a high horsepower? I believe Amel is in this game. We're gonna see a Protect, getting a little bit of that of that grassy terrain recovery. You're gonna see the Glide pop right here, and Mega Steellix is a bulky son of a bitch. Even though this is neutral, we're gonna see that Protect saves him on 2%, and he nukes the Rillaboom, and that's the game. This is not Scarf Lottie in the background, in the back, which is amazing, but wow. He pulled up with DD Megalix, was in a terrible position. I don't think if this specific sequence does not happen, Amel loses this game 150% of the time, which I think is so cool. This is one of my favorite games ever. This is when I was just put onto the truth of our French king Amel. He comes in, he high horsepowers and connects on the Heatran, which is super clutch as well. And then we see Clef come out, and it gets nuked, and it's gone. It's gone, and you can see, obviously, people in the chat are very excited to see the DD Mega Steellix come in and absolutely pop off, which is so cool. Really, especially on such a high stage like DPL Finals, I think it's really cool to see a set like this do well, and it's just what Amel's good at. So, kudos to you, my friend. You're the GOAT. Let's move on to our next one right here, which is going to be CB Marks' game against AV Flink again. This one and the next one I know nothing about, so this will be fun. We'll be able to see exactly why these games were good, why these games were that person's favorite. Maybe they're really close. Maybe they're absolute blowouts that they're really proud of. So we really don't know. I mean, all we really do know is most of the time, probably the person who sent the replay is going to be the winner. So maybe CB does, Mr. Marcus does win. So we'll see. We'll see. But we see a Slowking Galar, broken 27-point Mon, Kyurem, Clefable, Greninja, Primeape, and Swampert. Really, really cool team. A little bit of jump in those speeds, but then on the opposing side, AV Fling, I don't know who that is. It's probably another Discord name. It's probably their showdown name. I don't know their name, though. This is from, I believe, Aquarius' Surge Tour, that she did, the BFO one. But I didn't really watch any of these games or pay attention to who was playing, I'll be honest. We see a Hydreigon Breloom, who is the GOAT, one of my favorite mons. Then we see a Selgor, Corviknight, Nidoking, and Araquanid. Okay, biggest threats to CB. Let's see. Hydra is pretty well checked by Clef, obviously. Breloom, pretty well checked by Slowking Galar. Great defensive core. what do you call it? The Acelgor, also pretty well checked by Slowking Galar, but you also have to be careful of like a Spike's gambiting set, because if that's what it is, there's no removal on this side, which is really, really unfortunate. And if it leads and it leads into like a Slowking, which could be a viable lead, and he lets it take the gambit, he's in a tough spot. I don't know base HPs, honestly. I think Acelgor's 80. I don't know Slowking Galar. Let's see. 95. So it won't die. So actually, maybe that's not the biggest deal in the world, because you just pivot out. You literally just pivot out and you're in an okay position. So and go back right here. We see Corviknight. Corviknight is a bit tough to break. If this is like a Specs Kyurem, it also goes Buck Wild against this guy's team. He just has no counterplay to like a Specs Kyurem or just the move Ice Beam in general. It's just Araquanid, which can be dealt with accordingly, and obviously Freeze Dry nukes hit as well. And then we have Nidoking. Nidoking's always going to be a menace. It's a great mon to break through this defensive core of Clef Slowking. Now, if they're mixed Nidoking, even better, like Earthquake, or even physical Nidoking could be very, very solid. Spadef Pert can also like pivot into special Nidoking pretty decently, and depending on, you know, what its EV alignment is, which it looks like it might be more Spadef in this game, could be pretty tough. And then Araquanid, the webs could be annoying, but if he's like Boots Gren or Boots Kyurem, they actually don't matter that much. And you have Primeape to actually you have Primeape with Defiant to potentially do a lot of work under the webs. There's not really consistent fighting checks, really, besides the Araquanid. Nidoking does not count, unfortunately. Actually gets 2-hit KO with this thing having a Defiant boost very easily. So yeah, I think we're primed to see Kyurem pop off. Maybe Primeape. I think maybe that's why he sent it. I think that'd be sick. But let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's put it on slow. We're going to see a Kyurem lead attack where your opponent cannot defend. We see a Acelgor. This thing will not die to a Gambit if it wants to get up a Spike. That's unfortunate. It does just go for a Bug Buzz, and it's a Throat Spray set, which is honestly fine. We see a DD turn 1. Okay. That's scary. We see a DD turn 1. If this isn't like an Iron Defensing Corviknight or a Bulk Up Corviknight, this thing could honestly just win on its own right now, too. If it's like sub DD Roost Icicle Spear to try and pressure stall out that Corviknight of any attacks that can hit it, or if it's like, you know, no, it's not going to be Mono U-turn. You can stall it out of Brave Birds. You can stall it out of Iron Heads. You can stall it out of Body Presses even, just because Kyurem's so bulky. This would be really, really cool to see. The only issue is I think you're going to be in 2-hit KO range right here from this Focus Blast. Is just going to come in, yeah, and it's going to drop. So that could have been really scary for the opponent, but fortunately, it doesn't go down. We are going to see the Slowking come out right here. I am very surprised that set came. It seems like a waste of an item or an Acelgor. Being that Slowking does exist, maybe Mr. CB Market should have saved this Kyurem, because it does look like it put in an immense amount of work, especially if he was sub, but I don't know his set. We are going to see a Sludge Wave come out from this thing, and it's going to do a ton to that Araquanid, which is great. Pert's going to come out next. Are we going to see webs go up? We are going to see webs go up, so I wonder if that is a Boots Greninja variant. If it is, then those webs honestly help CB Marcus more than they hurt him. But we're going to see a big Adamant Liquidation come out. That's probably a more Spadef set. We're going to see a Yawn come out. And are we going to see a Protect from the Pert so it can get up its rocks here in a second? We are going to see a Protect, and AV Fling does elect to stay in and just go for Liquidation. So we are going to see probably rocks go up. Rocks are going to be great for chipping down that Acelgor. It's going to be great for chipping down that Hydra and that Corvi as they U-turn in and out. As we do see Acelgor come in. Oh no, we see a double into Clefable, which is interesting. I figured he would get up his rocks if he had it on there, but unfortunately he does not. We are going to see a Moonblast come out, do 25 to the Nidoking, so that is unrecoverable damage, and a Slowking pivot. Pivoting in to see if this is special, physical, what exactly it wants to go for. It's going to Sludge Wave and crit, which is unfortunate. I don't know if that's AV Slowking damage. I feel like AV King does not take 31 from a crit. We'll see. It's probably Shuka. Yeah, we're going to see Shuka come out, and it's going to successfully lure this thing. Now that it's gone, we're going to see a Trick Room come up. Oh, baby. Araquanid is going to come in on a sack, it looks like. Just die to a crit Sludge Wave. And that crit Sludge Wave is actually really, really clutch right here, because it's going to allow more turns of Trick Room, which is great. And we're going to see probably Hydra. No, Corviknight come out. Interesting. Are we going to see a Slack Off? No, we just see a little bit of a regen right here. And then we're going to see Pert come out. I wonder, you know what would be a cool interaction? Is if we saw Defiant Primeape go crazy under Trick Room. That would be so sick. We're going to see Hydreigon come out here. We're going to see a Yawn from the Pert. Is this thing going to try and Nasty Plot up? It's going to Crunch, showing that it is a physical variant. which makes sense against the Slowking. I believe it also gets like Iron Tail, so maybe you can push through Clef a little bit easier with a set like that as well. And Primeape is going to come out under Trick Room. It's going to pick one. Give him a Pokemon. We're going to see White Herb. Very, very interesting. Accelgor is going to come hard out right here. Close Combat is just going to drop it. That shit died in one. Are you sure that's allowed? We're going to see Corviknight come out next on this Primeape as a Close Combat comes out. And actually would just Oko. Is this Salad Berry like... Are you Helmet? What exactly are you? Hustat Berry Corviknight. That's very cool. With Reversal? You're kidding me. Okay, I was like, is this Helmet? Is this Salak? What in the world is this thing enduring for? That is an Endure Reversal Corviknight. That was an extremely clean tech because this Pokemon picked another one here, which was so cool to see. Maybe the Hydra just didn't prep for it and just was, maybe it was an Adamant Hydra. I don't know. This thing could have just kind of came through and just smashed through everything. We are going to see Greninja come out. It is unfortunately not Boots. How does Marcus pull this one out? We're going to see an Ice Beam pop right here. Is this Scarf? If this is Scarf, he gets another one, right? We're going to see Nidoking come out. And Earth Power is going to pop. It is not Scarf. So the Greninja is just going to go for another Ice Beam, take out this Nidoking, which is again clutch for him. This really does open up potentially Clef to win the game. I don't know if actually, I think that was a throw then, right? Wasn't it AV Fling's better play to go Breloom and either force us out? I don't think you could let your Nidoking go down there because now don't you just lose to King plus Clef with these last two members remaining? Interesting. We're going to see a Mach Punch pop out, and if that's like, I don't know, that's crazy. Now, we're going to see Slowking come out. Are you going to switch out here and scout for the Spore and get a little bit of regen back, or are you going to let this be your sleep fodder go into Clef? We are going to see Fling come out, and it does take it out. Fling, Iron Ball, Breloom is going to take out this Slowking. That's a clean tech. Will Clefizzy be able to pull it back right here? I mean, it obviously can Moonblast through both of these members. We're going to see a Bullet Seed come out. It's not going to hit more than 2 times. Oh no, this game was over. Now Hydra's going to come out. Is it going to hit the Iron Tail? It definitely has it. We're going to see Endure from the Clefable. Is this Endure Salak? I mean, Endure Custap. Are we going to see double Endure Custap? Oh my god. I can't with this game. This was a really cool game on both sides. I'm glad Marcus gave me the one. This one was super sick. That could have gone so horribly wrong if he missed the Iron Head, though. Absolutely so horribly wrong if he missed the Iron Tail, though. That was a very cool game by Marcus. Very interesting. Again, I think if AV Fling sacked off his, what do you call it? Breloom? Maybe he was in a better spot. He could win with Nidoking, realistically. Especially because he popped the Shuka on that Slowking. But it was really cool seeing that Custap pop. I need to go grab my dog really quick. I'm not going to stop the recording because she's right here. I think she's mad that I'm recording right now. We'll turn on the light now too because she's just awake. Are you mad that I'm talking? Everybody, say hi to Snow. Hello, I know. Okay. So, let's put this back on. There we go. Alright, cool. We got one more showdown game. And it's going to be Almighty Gohan, D-Street's W is a showdown name against High Jump Strong, which is 2 very solid players. It looks like this is Galadex. I know UDL does like a 3 format kind of league where they'll play like Oras one week, Usum the next, and what do you call it? Galadex the 3rd week, and then they'll kind of rotate and continue to do that. So this looks like it is going to be a Galadex week. We see obviously Broken Bolt, Agent Inteleon, Uxie, Togetic, Nidoking, and Porygon 2 against a Pangoro, Rotom Wash, Scizor, Mega or not, I have no idea. Haven't seen this game, obviously. Landers T, Lele, and Spectrier. Spectrier looks a little bit scary depending on the set, especially if it's like one of those sub-disable sets. It can kind of be annoying. It can kind of annoy P2 and kind of beat it down. And a lot of the other things on the team can really take advantage of it. Pangoro, throughout the course of the game, looks really scary because the only counterplay is going to be the Togetic, which obviously doesn't want to be knocked. It's weak to rocks. It's going to slowly get put in range of that thing, especially like maybe like a Life Orb Pangoro can go crazy. Scizor. Scizor can also be really scary. It looks like Bulky Water and Teleon. An SC variant can actually just kind of cleave through this game after a little bit of chip. Lando, still does really well again, with just like knocking and U-turning and EQing can be very, very scary. Lele, same deal. Puts a lot of pressure on the P2 to try and check it, plus Vectura, which can be really scary. But from Gohan's side, it looks like Pulp massacres the Ghost Resisted Pangoro. Everything else just drops pretty much. And Teleon can also go pretty crazy. Rotom doesn't have any reliable recovery. Everything else kind of gets bodied by it. Uxie is going to be, a nice pivot into things, really only the Landorus and maybe potentially Rotom, depending on, like, the spread. Maybe it's Spadef to be that Lele check as well. Can throw some Thunder Waves, potentially be annoying. Togetic, probably only here for Pangoro, really. Checks it well, but again, it still gets knocked off. It's still weak to rocks, so that could be tough. Nidoking does really, really solid offensively in the matchup, but Nidoking always does offensively well in the matchup. Just, it's a matter of, is this the rock or is Uxie? I feel like Uxie probably is, because, like, just 4 attacks Nidoking can go absolutely dumb, stupid, crazy. Just, like, stabs, flamethrower, ice beam, probably. And then P2 is going to be that Spectre check, potentially that Lele check. It's going to pivot in on the, Rotom Well. It's also going to trace Levitate as well as Grim Neigh or Intimidate and things like that. So trace can be really, really nice in this game as well. So, that being said, let's go and jump into it. Okay, let's see what ends up leading off. We are going to see a Landorus lead. Who would have thunk it into an Uxie lead? So not a terrible lead. Really on either end, because we're probably going to see a free U-turn here, doing about 40%, showing that it is a Helmet Uxie. So getting a little bit of chip right there and probably getting up rocks, I would assume. We are going to see a rocks as the Rotom comes out. This obviously can be defog, but we are going to see a Toxic here from the Uxie, and it is faster, which is really, really clutch for High Jump Strong, because it means he can kind of always ensure that rocks stay off if he really wants them off throughout the course of this game. He's going to Volt this next turn as Gohan elects to go for them again, which is nice because now they're guaranteed to be up for a little bit. But we're probably just going to see a U-turn here. We saw it did 40 last time, but obviously can be a roll. Oh, we are going to see a knockoff. Okay, that makes a little more sense. But honestly, not a bad exchange for Gohan. He leads. He gets off about 45% on this Landorus. He confirms it's not Scarf. He gets a Toxic off on the Rotom, and he gets his rocks up. So maybe he can keep up a little bit of offensive momentum. We are going to see the Inteleon come out. If this is Specs, this pretty much claims one, right? Especially with the Poison and Rocks. If this is Specs, no, it's going to U-turn out. So it could be Specs, but I was going to say it could. No, it's not going to 2-8 KO from, 80, whatever it was. As the Nidoking comes out, which is incredibly interesting. We see a Poison Jab, not killing, only doing 39 as Defog comes off. So Sean's going to value getting those rocks off much more than taking out this Nidoking or risking a Hydro Pump miss on this thing right here, which is, definitely fair. So we're going to see probably a Spectre come out, which is a very, very aggressive pivot right here. As the Poison Jab does come out, it's going to crit. It's not obviously going to poison because of Sheer Force, and we're going to see the lefties pop, which is, again, very, very interesting to see. A Calm Mind's going to come out raw, as I believe Gohan's probably going to stay up. Oh, he sets up some T-Spikes right there, which is interesting and really nice, actually, because that Defogger isn't going to be able to come in and defog that away, which I think is definitely really clutch. So we've seen Poison Jab, T-Spikes. If this is a more physical-based Nidoking, it might be bulky enough to where it can take a hit from this thing and, go from there. But we're going to see the Porygon 2 come out. It's actually download, so it is not going to be Trace, which is honestly fine in this situation, especially, hopefully, if it's foul play, I would assume. Is this going to be a Weakness Policy Horse, though? I assume this is Weakness Policy, right? No, it showed Leftovers. What am I talking about? It literally showed Leftovers. But this thing's just going to start setting up forever and ever. As another foul play pops, if this was a Toxic P2, he would have been a little bit better of a spot right here. But he's probably just going to spam this button until the cows come home. And it's just a matter of how he beats this after. Is he Physical Pult? If he's Physical Pult, he can come in and revenge that. And obviously Clear Body's going to avoid. Or Mix Pult. We are going to see a Rest come out right here. I assume it's like Rest, Shadow Ball, or Hex. Probably Shadow Ball. We haven't seen any status. Calm Mind, and then like maybe Dark Pulse, something like that, to hit this thing. And it obviously gets it to +6. Oh, it's Mono Dark Pulse. Okay, so that's interesting to note too. I suppose that can kind of push through everything. Togetic's not going to do anything, especially the team that's brought right here. Togetic can't really do anything to that, obviously. So it doesn't matter. At +6, it probably gets closer to a KO, and you can obviously bait for flinches, and you just sit here forever. So we're going to see yet another foul play. It's in Gohan's best interest just to keep spamming this foul play over and over and over again. It's obviously a very bulky Spectre as well. We're going to see the Togekiss come hard out right here. Take 33% from that. So yeah, that's in pretty much a flinch range right here. As we are going to see one more Dark Pulse. We're going to see a Baton Pass coming out. We're going to see a Roost. Okay. This thing's slowly getting back its leftovers. It's already at +6. I wonder what his plan to beat this is. Is it going to be a physical pull? If you keep letting this thing get healthy, it's bulky enough. It's going to take a hit eventually. As we are going to see a crit Mystical Fire. Crit only does 26, but it's nice to get the Mystical Fire off. Maybe force. Now he should just Dark Pulse, yeah, because it's still 2 KOs. Yeah, literally always from that range at least. So if he doesn't, continue to do it, so we're gonna kind of speed through this and see exactly how he wants to beat this. He's gonna start just alternating between Roost and Mystical Fire. Is he gonna be able to PP stall this thing out of Dark Pulses? I don't think so, right? I don't think that's going to happen. Does he actually do so? I'm surprised there wasn't enough flinches. I guess he just didn't want to Calm Mind in this thing's face. Very interesting. So this Togetic is just coming in and putting in work. I thought it would get overwhelmed. But yeah, that was crazy. I guess he also just didn't get advantage flinch. You kind of see Sean say, I could use one of those earlier. Yeah, literally any of those instances where it was, like below, 70% of flinch kind of would have sealed the game immediately. So that was definitely tough. We are going to see a Mystical Fire come out here. This is also going to allow a defog here, though, for Sean, which is definitely unfortunate. Getting that T-Spike up was really, really important, in my opinion, especially for that Spectre when it comes back in. So maybe we're going to see this hard Nidoking play right here. As we are going to see a Pain Slit, which is unfortunate. We're going to see a Baton Pass here from this Togekiss. No, it's just going to Roost up. I suppose it can kind of just Roost stall it forever and ever and kind of catch it, bolting out. The only issue is there could be some pretty disadvantageous positions from here, as we are going to see the hard Nidoking play like I thought might have happened the turn before right there. And this thing is probably, if I was Gohan, oh no, he goes hard Pangoro. As the T-Spike comes up, I figured he might want to just spam defog to ensure that does not go up, because that spike is going to be really, really unfortunate. We see the Focus Sash from the Nidoking go away, so it was always safe to stay in and take that Hydro Pump if it needed. Now the Spectre is going to come out. It's going to be poisoned now, which is nice, at least maybe forcing into rest turns a little bit earlier on, which is definitely clutch. Togetic's going to come out right here, and I think we're going to do the same song and dance, right? Yeah, we're going to see a rest. As Nasty Plot comes out from this Togekiss, which is pretty nuts. It's going to Dazzling Gleam. Was that the first Nasty Plot we saw? Yeah, that was the first Nasty Plot we saw. Wait, this thing looks demonic now. We're going to see Psyshock Roost? Or just Dazzling Gleam? Yeah, and now you just Roost all it. Wow, Nasty Plot. Togetic is going to go... Oh, we see a Taunt. That's unfortunate. So it isn't just going to raw win right now, and I don't think it'll get that opportunity again. That was pretty terrifying. It's going to see a Nidoking sack right here. There's no more way of removing that Toxic Spike unless he's double defog, including the Landers. Inteleon's going to come in right here, and this Pokemon's also looking very threatening. Surf is going to come out right here. What comes in and takes the Surf? I suppose it has to be maybe an AV Pangoro, or obviously Scizor can come in and take a hit. It might be AV Pangoro. Sacking this thing off definitely makes at least, some sense. That actually does not do that much, only 30%, so maybe this is a more bulky Pangoro overall. And Tri-Attack's going to come out. It actually does outspeed, and Pangoro is going to knock it out with a Drain Punch, get a little bit of health back in the process, which is nice. Sorry, Snowy, you're sitting really awkwardly while I'm trying to do this, so we're going to hold Snowy like this while we sit here and watch. We're going to see a Dragon Bolt come out. This is going to be able to revenge it. It does look like it is Physical Bolt, or at least Mixed Bolt. I hope it's mixed, because then it can kind of just win the game. In all honesty, at a certain point, we are going to see a switch into the Togetic right here, as a U-turn does come out from the Landers, and the Scizor is going to come out next. And this is, definitely unfortunate. We're going to see Mystical Fire probably coming out here, at least punish this in some way, shape, and form, doing 70 freaking %, which is nuts. Bullet Punch is obviously going to knock this thing out, but now you go Inteleon, you're at a healthy enough point to where you can take this and just go for like a Spec Surf or whatever that may be, as you do see a Quick Attack here, which is a lot more than I thought it would, to be honest. And Surf is going to take out the Scizor, and I think you just spam this move until the end of time, right? This thing also has to get the correct roll.
It's faster, and we're going to see it do 92. Is this thing going to get Dark Pulse, or is it going to get Calm Mind or Rest? It's Rest, and that's the game. Agent Leon is going to pick up a nice little sweep right there. That was cool. The amount of work that Togetic put in was absolutely insane. That blew my mind. Did not think that was going to happen in the slightest. Lander's going to come out. It's going to drop, obviously, to this Surf. So, very good game here that Gohan showcased to us with Inteleon going buck wild. And, yeah, putting in a lot of freaking work. That was definitely incredibly interesting. Agent Leon putting in the utmost. I'm sorry, Snow. I'm going to put you on the bed, okay, Mama? I'm going to put you on the bed. There we go. Go lay down. Go on your bed, okay? All right, we got one more. We got John Jr. He's playing. I know it has Kurt's logo at the bottom, one of Kurt's logos. But oh, geez, that's actually like terrible positioning for us because I had it set up for Showdown games. Let's go ahead and move this. This is going to be IBA Season 5 Finals. John Jr. versus Kohan. And again, if there are only any old Wi-Fi viewers back in the day, you'll remember Kohan. Cool dude, good player. He played John here in finals. John has a pretty fun team tier. You're going to see on the top right. He has Victini, Hydra, Lycanroc Dusk, the Breloom, Jellicent, Garbodor. Sorry, I'm testing my blood sugar at the same time. There's going to be a multi-part video. Again, it's only been 40 minutes. Let's go. We got through these games quick. Blood sugar's fine. What do you got? Lycanroc Dusk, Breloom, who's, again, the GOAT. We saw so much Breloom today, which is always a good thing. Jellicent, Garbodor, the Mega Mawile, Landorus Eye with Sand Force, not Sheer Force, Skarmory, Heliolisk, and Audino. At the bottom, you see Kohan's team. He has a cool team with Zygarde, Florges, Darmanitan, Swallow, Mudsdale, Rotom, the Mega Venusaur, Manaphy, Magnezone, Alolan Persian, and Wobbuffet. This is the most like Gen 7 Wi-Fi team of all time. Like when I think back on like the Gen 7 Wi-Fi good old days, I think of drafts like these. Now, is it objectively like broken? No, not really. But I definitely think it's interesting. But we're gonna go through. We're gonna look at John's team really quick because I did help him build this team. And yeah, we'll go from there. So we have a very John Jr. EV-esque Mega Mawile, just SD3 attacks, does really, really well in this game. Outside of Mudsdale, there's not good consistent counterplay to it. It can SD on like fairs, just like the what do you call it? Venu +2 Sucker Punch is gonna blow Darm ass backwards. It can probably live in arrows. I'd assume if we listen to John, he would kind of give us an explanation of that kind of stuff. Sucker Punch is obviously great. He is liable to be kind of trapped by the Magnezone, but +2 Sucker Punch does do a ridiculous amount of mag, so that's always a nice thing. But realistically, he should kind of take care of that mag before trying to win with this thing. If that makes any sense. He really bullies Florges as well, which I think is really important for the rest of his team to do, sufficient work, especially with the team that we ended up bringing in this one. So let's go ahead and move forward. We have Victini. Pretty simple Victini. It is, I believe, just 4 attacks. Shuckleberry with it's special with Psychic, Glaciate, U-Turn, and Blue Flare. Shook is going to help with things like Zygarde. It also helps take a hit from Darmanitan if you really need to, if he doesn't want to miss or Rock Slide miss, which would do a little bit more, which is obviously nice. And honestly, stabs are really free in this game. It's really only Manaphy that can kind of check it. We can U-turn out on the Wob, which is great. And I suppose Floor just kind of can check and ball this set, but he has sufficient things otherwise to take advantage of the Floor, just like a whole ass Mega Mawile. And he can't really willy-nilly go into Magnezone on a Mawile, so it's kind of a KO guaranteed. Next is, I believe, Hydra, and I remember back in the day, we were so excited about this set because we were really bulky work-up Hydra, and back in my day in Gen 7, we didn't get Nasty Plot and Dragon Dance Hydra. No siree. We had work-up Hydra, and we ended up running this set because it really had the chance to kind of break through and bully Kohan's team. He was pretty Sip F, so we could actually take Magnezone hits pretty darn easily and potentially try and set up a little bit on it. But if Mawile can force a chip on it earlier on, he's in a good spot. But Dragon Pulse with D plus Iron Tail really does a number to this build. If you look at the team, other than that Magnezone, it kind of runs through. Obviously, Z Iron Tail is to blow back that Florges, and kind of Dragon Pulse is super free otherwise, which I think is really, really important and really, really nice. And yeah, it can do a lot of work. It's decently bulky enough in the matchup. It's Spidef enough to also like set up on Venus and stuff like that. He's obviously got to be careful about getting poisoned, but it does good in the matchup at the very least. Next up, we see Jellicent. What Jellicent are we in this game? Let's see.
Wiki Berry, look at the Gen 7 berries. He's Trick Room, Recover, Ice Beam, and Nightshade. Ice Beam was obviously to hit that Zygarde. Wiki Berry is just to kind of like pivot in consistently throughout the game. Nightshade is just for consistent damage. And then Trick Room, I don't remember why he's Trick Room. Maybe he's Trick Room because he's scared of Zygarde Dragon Dancing up and kind of punching through his team, which honestly kind of fair. His ground resist is the Breloom, which isn't really a ground resist. So it can really do a lot of work to him. At +1, it can honestly just like win the game on its own, especially in Gen 7 where Z moves are a thing. It can like just Z Dragon through the Breloom very easily. Having Trick Room as an option is definitely fair. So maybe he can go into Mawile and do a little bit of work. Yeah, it's probably Mawile. That's probably what it is. Next up, we have Landers. It is an Expert Belt set with Earthquake, Psychic, Hidden Power, Ice, and Rocks. It's a good rocker. Earthquake can kind of punch through some things. I assume Psychic is for the Venusaur, and HP Ice is obviously for the Zygarde, so that it can really, really do a lot of damage to that thing. Ensure that it isn't going to be setting up. Earthquake is still going to do a decent amount of damage to other things. Now, the fact that he's not very physically offensive is kind of tough for the Florges, because again, this team really does struggle with Florges, so it's kind of hoping that Hydra can lure it in and either get it really low if it's Babiri, or just like knock it out and remove it for the rest of the team. And I believe the next thing we have on the team, might be the last thing we have on the team, is going to be AV Heliolisk. This is the best kind of play we can come up for a Manaphy. Manaphy can't really break through this thing initially, and it can kind of just volt around on the entire team. HP Ice is going to do a ton to Zygarde, so it's going to be very aggressive to want to come in on that. Obviously, Surf is great for things like Mudsdale. Then he has Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, HP Ice, pretty standard stuff. It is walled by Venu, but again, you can take advantage of Venu with Victini, even with Hydra, potentially with the Expert Belt Landorus, things like that. So, I believe that's the whole team. Let's go ahead and go right here. I don't want it to be too loud, so let's make sure it's not too loud as well. We're going to put it on 2x speed, as you're supposed to with these kinds of videos, right? Okay, so we're going to see lead Landers versus lead Darm, and I assume John, knowing John, probably EV'd to live this thing guaranteed.
Doesn't have a switch in Earthquake. My play is always just going to be Earthquake. Absolutely.
So he's just going to Earthquake right here, because it looks like Kohan did not bring a ground resist in the slightest. That Venu is pre-Mega'd, and he can always Psychic after. Earthquake into HP Ice takes out the Zygarde. Earthquake nukes this. Earthquake does a lot to Manaphy, which is great. Earthquake does a lot to Florges. So he's in a good spot. Look at John in his old room, Tiny John. Oh, you guys can't see him. He's like right there. Right there.
Absolutely.
So we'll see. We're going to turn it up a little bit.
Wow, I think that's so much Florges. Let's withdraw. So we get bigger.
So we're going to see Heron comes out, which is the Florges. Now we'll see actually how Spadef, how Fizdef this is. It's probably Fizdef.
There's about half to that, actually. Wow. He's not leftovers.
Not leftovers. Honestly, you take that roll, right? You might as well just attack here. If he's Wish, you get up your rocks immediately after.
That rocks would be great. How defensive is he? You can get 2 Moonblasts from this thing. There's gonna be some Fizdef, at least.
So I think you probably just drop an EQ right here. He might not, but I feel like you just drop an EQ here. We're gonna like kind of like click through the game to see exactly what he clicks. It looks like Kohan is taking his time. We're gonna see rocks here from John, which I think is interesting. It is Synth, so it doesn't actually end up hurting it. It's not Wish too, which is really, really nice to know. The rocks are super clutch for Darm though. Obviously it's Gen 7, there is no boots. We're going to be able to break potential sturdy on Magneton if it's for some reason not Magna Pull for the Mawile. It's probably Magna Pull for the Mawile, but it's nice, to chip things down, slowly put things in range of the rest of your squad, which is great. Even if it's something like Zygarde, slowly at least punishing it coming in, which is nice. I believe he's just going to click Earthquake here. Oh, it's Defog Florges. So we see probably Moonflash, Defog, Synthesis. Earthquake happens, we see a Synth. He stalls him out of these Synths, though, so I don't know if this is, like, super advantageous for Kohan. Turn it down a little bit, because I'm probably going to have music in the background of the video. Does he just continue to EQ? I feel like you just continue to EQ. Or I guess you can just rocks, and then he has to, what do you call it? So you either get a, yeah, so this is good, because Kohan ended up Moonblasting there. He either gets a KO on this thing as it defogs, or he keeps up his rocks and the floor just is really low. So, like, regardless of what happens here, John's in a good position. This Landers put in a ton of work on lead and really did kind of what it was supposed to. Let's see. We're going to see a Synth come out. You just keep spamming EQ. I don't think that this is a position that Kohan can really get out of at this point. Kohan is taking an absolute ridiculous amount of time. Oh, John actually goes Mawile. See, I feel like that's just John being impatient there. Now, it's not a bad thing, but I feel like it's him being impatient. He can ensure rocks up or a KO guaranteed if he just stays in with his Landers, and he doesn't need it for anything. Maybe having it for the Magnezone is nice. I guess maybe Magnezone, but you still have Teeny to check that. Which is definitely interesting. So we're going to see the Mawile come out here, and I guess it does pressure a little bit, but you're also liable to get trapped by that Magnezone. So, we'll see. We're going to see this floor just end up staying in, which is really nice for John. This thing's just going to get nuked. HP Fire. So it was Moonblast, HP Fire, or Ground, I suppose. But Berry.
I'm fine with this. I'm fine with Mawile being weakened, I think.
Jeez. Okay, well, I mean, it got the damage off it needed, but that's like I'm a Lure Berry to live a hit and do 30% with HP Fire, which is pretty interesting. This isn't even like a super bulky Mawile, which is unfortunate for John, because him losing this thing or having it go so low is really unfortunate, because Magneton's just going to be able to come in and just going to be able to revenge it, and he gets Sucker. He gets Sucker Chip off. Same thing if Darm comes in. I don't think it's going to be Belly Drum Darm in this matchup against Jellicent. That'd be interesting, but I don't think it's definitely going to be. We're going to see a Moonblast come out here. A little bit of an over-prediction, and a little bit of a risky play going for Play Rough right there. I guess maybe expecting Manaphy to come in, but at that point, I don't think you need to make that play either. There's a lot of over-aggressive and impatient plays happening in this game, because you see Play Rough come out here and it knocks it out, but you miss, and that sucks. Like, especially if you HP fired. You didn't need to Moonblast and predict. I don't understand what the pivot would be. If anything, the pivot would be Victini. He's going to ensure that you don't synth up because he doesn't break this Pokemon very well. What? Jellicent? I guess. But again, you just synth up in that thing, or you just pepper down with Moonblast and chip it down for Zygarde to kind of come in and clean through later. Same thing with Darmanitan. And obviously, John play roughing there was a little bit of an overplay because you miss. And you're in a pretty bad spot. And if they go into Manaphy on your Iron Head, you just Iron Head into Play Rough, or you go Heliolisk. You have your check very healthy, and you live from this range like very easily. He's not setting up on you. Iron Head into Play Rough will kill Manaphy, unless it's like Fizz Death mana. And if that's the case, again, you still have your Heliolisk, so I don't think it's that big of a deal, if you know what I mean. So, we're gonna keep going because it looks like Kohan takes a ridiculous amount of time. So we're going to see the Zygarde come out here. John's probably just going to attack this thing. He doesn't want to let it sit up for free because this thing can absolutely just run through him. So we're going to see a substitute come out. Iron Head. Good play too, John. Saying like, no, I'm not going to miss Play Rough and lose because of that. So we do see sub and we don't see lefties. Kind of implying that this thing is Z. I would assume Z Outrage, to be completely honest. I would really assume Z Outrage. So, he's going to use 1,000 Arrows here. Good play by John, ensuring no setup. I think that's really important because, again, he could just raw lose to this Pokemon immediately, especially with this fairy being gone. He can kind of just outrage and, 1,000 Arrows for the team. He has the nuke for the Jellicent, too. John would have to play very carefully around the Z move to not just lose. We're going to see Hydra come in here. I don't know if Dragon Pulse kills this thing from here, so this is a very aggressive play. Obviously, Kohan doesn't know. This could be Draco. This could be Specs. This could be a ton of different things, so maybe he doesn't want to take this. But I feel like maybe a... what do you call it? Might exert more pressure. Victini might exert more pressure. We're going to see the Magnezone come in, though, and that's really nice for John, though, because getting that damage off is incredibly clutch. Because this is going to set up for an endgame for Hydra to win, because it definitely can. Especially depending on Darm set and stuff like that too. Darm can come in and revenge it if it's like Scarf Superpower or just U-turn, just pivoting around it and stuff like that. As we see Helios come in on the Magnezone, which is interesting because it doesn't actually like beat it. Venu's gonna come in right here. I'm assuming John's just gonna go for a Volt Switch. Obviously, he can't touch this Pokemon with his Helios set. So he's gonna Volt out, do almost an amount of damage that heals the Venusaur. You see Curse Mega Venu here. I forgot about this. I won't lie. I'm glad John went into this thing because I'm pretty sure Hydra just waltzed this, right? What in the world is Curse Venu due to a Hydreigon? Especially because he's Work Up. Maybe he's like, I'm Spadef enough, I can always synth up. But Work Up Hydra is going to be able to put in a ridiculous amount of work right here. As we're going to see Synth come out, maybe just scouting to see if he wants to drop a Draco on him. He probably lived to Specs Hit from there because he's a Venusaur. He's going to switch out here, and it looks like that's just a raw 2-hit KO. A +1 Dragon Pulse, which is super clutch for John. You just click it again, don't you? Yeah. Oh no, he's gonna switch out into the Helios. Hidden Power Ice. You munched that up, so maybe you didn't need to do that. I suppose it did let in the Darm, which would have been unfortunate, but you just see a Volt Switch come out right here. And you can kind of pivot accordingly now. That's probably HP Ice. You can probably go Victini and assume it's not going to, you know, do anything to really, really hurt you. You go Victini, don't you? Mr. Peanut. Yeah, he does again. He's probably choiced. He's probably choiced, and it hits him hard. So there's a little bit of an over aggressive play there from John. He could have came in maybe later and done a little bit of work with that thing. It's actually not that big of a deal though, because that's just one of his least useful members. But keeping the sack could have been clutch, but I don't think he needed it, obviously. I think HP Ice was his best move to spam there in that point. On the other switch, just Victini. And I guess Jellicent, but Jellicent's Jellicent, you know? So I don't think that's in his best interest. From this position, don't you just Psychic? Yeah, you just Psychic, you knock out this thing, and force the Manaphy in, I presume, right? If you go Zygarde, you live a hit and you Glaciate. Guaranteed. You prevent any setup, you're faster than it too, which is great. If it's Yachi, so be it. If it's not, I think it just dies because you're a modest Victini. And I think he was really aggressive with his creep, so maybe the Zygarde will outspeed it. I don't know particularly how that interaction goes. So let's see. We do see Manaphy come out, which is probably the better play in all honesty. Are we going to see a U-turn from John? I would honestly U-turn here. I don't think he just throws off a raw water move. U-turn, you get into your Lisk. Oh, he does go into the, what do you call it? The Helios, but this is going to munch this hit up. Like, absolutely chew it, which is really, really funny in my mind, because, what, it's at like 60%? 60? Pretty nuts. Oh no, I want to get this video under an hour and nobody will click on it. Hurry up, John. Win the game, bro! We're going to see a Thunderbolt. Dude, Kohan is just terrified. We see Zygarde come out here, which is, again, very, very interesting. You should probably go Jellicent right here because you lose to Manaphy if it gets set up again. If this thing dies. You have nothing on your team faster, and it can kind of run through everything. Depends on the coverage that it has, obviously. But you're also not really a set that can beat the thing. We're going to see a double into the Darmanitan, which is definitely interesting. I wonder what he was expecting right there. It seemed like Zygarde was able to really, really just click arrows and kind of do a lot of damage. I don't think this thing can do too much to it. I don't know. You can see just a pretty free Nightshade coming out right here. We're going to see a U-turn. If this is Helmet, phenomenal. I don't know if you need to be Wiki Berry plus Recover. Maybe like a Helmet would have been a little bit more advantageous, or even just leftovers. The Venu's going to come out and you always go Hydra. Yeah, you should like always go Hydra. And you set up and you just kind of cleave through the rest of this team. If it's not Gleam, Manaphy too. We're going to see a double by Kohan here into the, what do you call it, Darm, which is smart because he forces him out with like a superpower or something like that, which I think is important. Yeah, so he's going to U-turn. Again, also a very safe play because he U-turns and he just kind of cycles that. He's definitely a Scarf Darm, which is definitely fair. But what are we going to see come out here? We're going to see Zygarde come out here, which is incredibly interesting. Maybe the train of thought from Kohan here is, hey, my arrows or my crunch puts you in range to lose to Darm later, but the Wiki Berry actually might end up coming up clutch here, depending on how much this really ends up doing. Because I guess his endgame is really just kind of winning with Darm. If he kills the Hydreigon and weakens this sufficiently, he can win with Earthquake. But he's also Chocolatini, though, so I don't know how viable we can say that endgame is. We are going to see a Z move come out here. Is that Dragonium? No, it's Tectonic Rage. Is this going to knock out Jellicent? It does knock out Jellicent. Wow, that is an adamant Zygarde if I've ever seen one. So what are you going to see come out? John's down 3-4 right now, but he's not in a terrible position. He does go the Victini. He still has a way to not lose to Manaphy in his Heliolisk, which I think is definitely important. And what are we going to see? We're going to see a Glaciate come out, just raw knock out the Zygarde. That crit did not matter. That's a modest Victini, which is definitely really clutch. We're going to see Manaphy come out. You just always U-turn here, right? I click Psychic, Tail Glow. See, I feel like I understand saying he's not going to water move, especially because you have Hydra, especially Heliolisk in the back, but you probably just U-turn there and grab a little bit of momentum, don't you? Okay. That's definitely fair, and you can heal up with your dry skin, and you just volt out.
He does quick surf. Oh my goodness. And heals.
So that's clutch. Yeah, he's able to heal himself up. He lived in Ice Beam from there for sure. He probably lived Dazzling Gleam too. Or if he lived at Dazzling Gleam, or if he lived in Ice Beam, he'd definitely lived at Dazzling Gleam. And he's just going to be able to volt out here. Knocks it out. Out into this he goes. And Darm is the only thing that can really do anything. We see Victini come out right here. And that's a good play too, to not pop your Shuka for that Darmanitan a little bit later, because Psychic definitely isn't killing from that range, even though he is modest, or it might not. And we see the workup come out from the Hydra, and you use Dragon Pulse here, don't you? Use Dragon Pulse, and that should be the game. Hydra, or what do you call it, Darm can't lock a move. Match is forfeited. So John won, he gets very excited, and he like gets up and runs away. Which is so cool. It's really fun winning your channel, especially on Wi-Fi. It really does feel different because you put in so much time, you put in so much effort, you upload these videos to YouTube, and it feels so sweet, man. So that's an awesome one. I know John really looks back on this game fondly, and what do you call it? I think he played this game well. There's a couple turns where both of them maybe played a little bit over aggressive. But John definitely played better, and he got the win, and Kohan was put in a checkmate position. I think maybe at that end, if Kohan went hard Darm, that might have been his only way of, like, not raw losing the game. Then it comes to a little bit of 50-50. Do we see a superpower, a U-turn? On the Darm there, on the, what do you call it, the Hydra coming in. And it could have been tough, but John also had a very free sack and healer, so I don't think there was a position where Kohan really could lock and win. He had to play extremely aggressive, won like a million 50-50s probably, but yeah, that's going to be our first kind of entrance into the series, I guess, like reacting to your guys' draft league videos, our battles. I thought it was a lot of fun. We got some great games. You saw John here. We saw a great game from Gohan and Sean here, where like things like Togetic put in a ton of work. This game where we had double Endurse, Custat Berry on Mons, I would not expect them. Custat Berry is such a sick item. And then we of course saw the iconic Dragon Dance Mega Steellix game. The iconic Dragon Dance Mega Steellix game. So if you guys had fun today, if you guys enjoyed this video, this type of content, definitely drop a like and sub to the channel. Submit those, what do you call it, your games on Twitter. You know, we'll keep this open. It's just like a live thread in general. And maybe I'll just continue to pick at these until I eventually watch all of the games on here. And I got a lot. So if you guys enjoy this, maybe want to wake this series, let me know in the comments below. And yeah, comment your games on this Twitter thread. And yeah, let me know what your guys' favorite game was. I know I'm just kind of rambling at this point. Let me know what your favorite game was in this series. And I will